Hi everyone, welcome. We are here with Jason Drohn tonight and our team from LearnWorlds. We will wait a couple of minutes until more people join. Thank you for being here tonight. Hi Jason, welcome. I will introduce you in
Thank you.
a couple of minutes so that everybody
Thank
hears
you.
that. Hi everyone. Could you tell us in the chat box where you're coming from, where are you logging in from, what you do, what's your business? Maybe you have a course already, what the course is about. We would like to know more about you. It's also a good opportunity here in the chat to see what everybody is doing. Maybe you can network. Maybe you can find some launch partners. Who knows?
Right. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. Chicago, very nice. Colorado,
Jason
Dallas.
is a transatlantic friend,
Yeah.
obviously, because I'm based in Europe, in
Yeah.
Greece. Right now I'm in London, just visiting.
And I'm in Florida, just visiting, Sarasota, actually.
Okay, great. So we have people from all
Everywhere.
over the US
Spain,
here,
South Africa.
all over the world, actually. Yes, that's great. And obviously, today we're talking about how to use webinars to sell more online courses. Most of you here tonight are part of our challenge. We have a course challenge running right now. I will tell later a bit more about it. And I will do a quick introduction to funnels and webinar funnels, and Jason will deep dive because he's an expert. So, Jason, let me introduce you. Jason is a friend. I've known him for many years and he's a marketing expert. The cool thing is that Jason started as a truck driver, but he educated himself and learned a lot about marketing, online entrepreneurship, and he went all the way to writing 4 books, launching 6 software products, and he has been working with a lot of companies and entrepreneurs to help them build funnels and grow their business by launching products. So Jason, welcome. We are happy to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The Pepsi truck driver thing was so long ago, it doesn't even really make sense anymore. That was 16 years ago. So that was like 3 internet lifetimes,
Exactly, yeah. And I always think that I have now more than 20 years of experience.
Yeah,
And
right.
it looks a lot, doesn't it? Like from another
Yeah,
life. So anyway, I'm
yeah.
with LearnWorlds. I work in growth marketing. We often organize events like these educational events, and also we often work with partners in this direction. So I think most people are here, and this is the challenge I was talking to you about. Maybe you're part of it. If you're not, just go to this URL. Nick will help us post it in the chat. Nick is our co-pilot today, and we have another co-pilot, Christina, who is going to help you if you have any questions. But in any case, we will have a Q&A session in the end, so stay tuned. We are also going to have a very smart offer for you if you choose to take it. And yeah, why are we doing this today? We are doing this because Black Friday is just around the corner, and Black Friday is the biggest shopping season of the year. In 2020, online Black Friday sales went up to $14 billion, which is an amazing amount. And you know that, of course, COVID played a role in this increase. And there was an 76 increase in year-on-year sales. This data comes from Shopify. 59% of consumers they say they want to shop online this year as well. And by the way, it's not only Black Friday, it's also Thanksgiving, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, New Year's holiday season, and all the religious holidays, depending on where you are in the world and where your customers are. You can take advantage of this whole season, and we will help you in this webinar learn how you can build a funnel and launch your product to achieve more sales. By the way, since we are in the e-learning industry, we need to mention that COVID has this tragic outbreak has actually helped the market grow exponentially. This is a trend that will continue in the coming years according to all forecasts. So Forbes forecasts that by 2025, the e-learning industry will be worth $325 billion. And there is another forecast from Global Market Insights that says that by 2027, like that, only 6 years from now, the market will be worth $1 trillion. This is an amazing market to be in, and we at LearnWorlds, we know, because we serve thousands of course creators, we know that a lot of them thrive in this industry. Now, to get to the meat, before talking about sales funnels, it's useful to understand what the customer journey is. So I would like you to imagine yourself that you want to purchase, let's say, a laptop. So the first step is that you realize you have the need to purchase a laptop. Then you start to make your own research, maybe ask your friends, use your phone to go online, use the internet to search, find reviews, find recommendations on the model that you're looking for, or even you're exploring what sort of features do you want. So you find 2 or 3 options, and then you might walk into the store. There you will meet with the customer service representative. They will ask you what you need. Hopefully, you will compare solutions and you will purchase the product that best fits your need. After that, you start using it. Maybe you come across some issues and you need to call their support. And finally, if you're happy, after 6 months, a year, or whatever period of time this is, you will most likely buy another product from the same brand. This whole customer journey is not just steps, it's an experience. It's a complete experience. And what makes sense here is to say that a sales funnel is a way to replicate this offline experience in the online world. So what you want is your customers to be able to take steps from being aware that they have a need for your solution, and you want to help them to take all the steps through the road that leads to purchase. So what you do with a sales funnel online, and I will show you what it looks like, is to first raise awareness for your product, then have people consider your solution as an answer to their needs, then express their preference to your brand and to your product, and then finally purchase your product. That's the ultimate goal, the sale. However, you could say that you want to have repeat buyers, and not only repeat buyers, but people who will talk about you, about your brand and your products. So what is a funnel? The basic notion we need to understand here is that most customers, the vast majority of customers, will not purchase immediately. I've seen a lot of creators, and I have done this myself in the past in my entrepreneurial journey. They share their offer with their social media following, they share it with friends, and they expect sales to come in immediately. I'm afraid this doesn't work like that. Not everyone in your social media following will be interested in what you have to offer. Not everybody will have the need that your offer solves. So basically what you need to do with a funnel is to pave the path you want your customers to follow. You pave the ideal path, the ideal steps you want them to take. So you educate them about your offer and they finally purchase your product. We could say that a funnel is a marketing and sales system that encourages leads to follow the path to purchase. A lead, first of all, you have a random web visitor, a visitor to your website. This person, if they express interest in your product, they become a lead. It seems they want something from you, they want what you have to offer. Then you need to entice them to follow the steps until they decide to to purchase. The ultimate goal of funnels is, of course, to sell more online courses. That's why we're here tonight. That's what we want to help you do. But along the way, what happens is that you build trust with your audience, you gain credibility, and you get the opportunity to qualify buyers, because people who take the steps along your funnel, it means that they are interested. So uh, slowly they become qualified buyers. And in the diagram here on the left, you could see that sales funnels can be used to attract leads, attract prospects, convert them into customers, or funnels can be used also to retain your customers, and why not sell more. These are different uses of a sales funnel. And the sales funnel, what's very positive about it is that it's a machine. And what do machines do? They work automatically. Once you build a funnel, of course, maybe you need to optimize it first. But then when you do the optimization, and Jason knows a lot about it, then the funnel will work on autopilot for you. And that's the road to so-called passive income. In this diagram, I want to show you what a funnel looks like. As we mentioned, is a way to replicate the offline customer experience on your web properties. So for example, here we have a lead generation funnel, which means the ultimate goal here is to have people opt in for your list. So then you are able to contact them, send them email campaigns that will take them further down the funnel. You can see here that this funnel starts with a page. We call this lead magnet opt-in page. People come here and they sign up for your newsletter. When they complete the form, the sign-up form, they arrive at the thank you page, and this is an opportunity here on the thank you page. This is an opportunity for you to present them with your offer, a paid offer, because the lead magnet here, of course, is something free. Then the email marketing system that you have takes over and delivers the lead magnet, which most of the time is a PDF. But as you will find out in our platform, you have the opportunity also to create a free mini course, which can serve as a lead magnet. So the lead magnet is delivered via email. People get to download it, and now your brand is on their computer and their email is on your list. You are able to contact them again, create a sequence of 3, 4, however many emails you want, and at some point you will introduce them to your offering. And let's quickly see what a webinar funnel looks like, and then I'll give the floor to Jason to tell you more about his knowledge and expertise. So it all starts with traffic. Somehow people will come to your page. Is it social media? Is it paid ads? Is it social media posting, simply posting without boosting the post or anything? Is it an existing list that you have already? So you have this web traffic. People arrive at your webinar registration page. They register. They are redirected to a thank you page, where again you have the possibility to present your offer or something more about what you do in your business, maybe offer a coaching session. Anything is possible. And then there are two roads. They either will attend the webinar, and here in between there might be reminders. Your webinar system will most likely automatically send reminders for people to join. So as we are doing today, people will join your webinar, or they might not be available, so they will watch the replay. The ultimate goal of the funnel is for your audience to become customers. And this is a simple version of a webinar funnel, because there are different styles and different things that you can do. For example, some people follow the product launch style webinar funnel, which comes with 3 webinars, 3 educational webinars. Always the purpose here is to educate your audience. And then there's a 4th webinar, which is called the sales webinar, and this is where you present your offer. So, Jason, please, the floor is yours. I don't know if you have anything to add here.
No, that was you covered so much so well that I can probably just leave for today. No.
We want your expertise. Please stay.
No, truly, there's so many different kinds of funnels, and the one that has the to Stella's point, the one that has the most ease and maybe simplicity to do is the webinar funnel, because it doesn't require you to be like a copywriting expert, and that's the thing. So here, let me share my screen. I put some slides together for you with some examples. So this is what I call the winning webinar framework. So can everybody see that okay in the chat? If you can just let us know, that'd be awesome. So, okay, cool. So, all right, excellent. We got a bunch of yeses. Perfect. So what it is it's really a simplified approach to more course sales, or you can really sell anything with it. And that's why I kind of want to break it down, because webinars are they're you can do so much with them in terms of like high price stuff, low price stuff, whatever. So what I'm going to walk you through today though, so I'm going to show you a webinar registration page that gets 52% registration. So in Stella's grid there, you saw that, people kind of move through and they become their traffic, and then they become a lead, and then they, sign up or they attend a webinar. So it maximizes like the number of leads that sign up. I'm going to share an upsell strategy that's going to help you create a self-liquidating offer. And what the self-liquidating offer is, for every dollar you spend in traffic, you want to make $1 or $2 or $3, like, so that in essence, all of your traffic is free. We drive a tremendous amount of paid traffic to our funnels, and then also to our clients' funnels. And the goal is always to make money. That's what business is, about making money. So we want to make money as quickly as possible for our clients. And a self-liquidating offer helps us do that. And then also we want to convert both front-end buyers and high-ticket sales with the same presentation. So now it's difficult because you selling something that's $5,000 or $10,000 and something that's $100. It's just a different premise, So and why webinars? Why am I showing you this? It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for offers. Writing copy is hard. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. But the thing about webinars is you are rewarded for being authentic. So if somebody sees you as being approachable, or they like you because they're able to see your video and listen to you and all that stuff, then you're able to bond with them that much more quickly. And really connecting with your prospects is entirely about words, So what's interesting is, even though 15, 16 years ago, I drove a Pepsi truck, and I've consulted hundreds, thousands of businesses about their offers. Business is business, and business will always be business, whether it's offline, whether it's online. You still have to create those same emotions in somebody. It's just a different modality, really. So we're just trying to do it online as opposed to over dinner or over coffee. So, and then really building scalable courses and businesses, it really requires a strong foundation. So one of the beautiful things about LearnWorlds is you have such a great platform to build the foundation in. So, and then all of the sales and marketing stuff kind of layers on top, and that's ultimately what pulls people in the door. So it sounds complicated, but there's really only 2 things that you need in order to grow online. Only 2. And there's so many of you who have shared your courses and stuff in the chat, which is awesome. The 2 things you need are the right traffic and the right offer. So if you have the right traffic and the right offer, you can make $1 million a year, no sweat. But you need traffic, you need the right offer. So what happens is more people come in, you're able to sell more stuff, and then then it just turns into a cycle. So let's see, looks like we got a poll going right now. So how much is your product? That's actually going to be the next question, but in the chat, just what are you selling? So you can either answer that in terms of like a course, like, are you selling digital courses, coaching, consulting, a hybrid, like, what are you selling? So, and then also, how much is it? So in the feedback here, it looks like we have 42 out of 66 people, 64% say what they're selling is more than $100, which is awesome. It's way easier. It's way easier to make a lot of money selling more expensive stuff than it is to not. And then the second question is, how complex is it? So, and the way I think about complexity really is, can you explain it in elevator ride, to the 10th floor? Is this something that you can explain quickly, people understand, and they inherently get, or is it not? Because if it's not, then it's going to take some more time and explanation to do. So what we're able to do, whether it's simple or complex, is we can design a webinar around that thing. So what I'm going to introduce you to is what I call the webinar OS. So, and we're going to start that by talking about foundation. So let's see. Okay. So when you have the right foundation, if you want to make more money, you drive more traffic. It really is as simple as that. So once your course and your offer and all of that stuff is set up, then you drive more traffic, you make more money. Now there's numbers and metrics and analytics and all that stuff that goes into that. If you spend $1, you want to make $2. If you want to spend $1,000, you want to make $2,000. So, or a lot more. Some of the stuff that I actually just put together a case study for a different presentation I'm doing. For every $1,000 that we spent, we made $13,600. So it was a 13.6 return on ad spend. And that's what happens when you have the right foundation. So if you want to grow your audience, you drive more traffic. If you want to launch something new, you launch it to your list that you already have, you drive more traffic, So it really is about nurturing that audience that you have. And one of the guiding things that I have always looked for is this idea of small successes. When I used to drive Pepsi truck, and I got off and I started blogging and I started trying to figure out how to get more traffic, how to get ranked in the search engines, how to spend money on traffic and make money, because I used to hate paid traffic. I looked for these things called small successes. So, and a small success isn't a sale. It isn't, getting a click and then going to a sale. There's 13 or 14 things that have to happen between the time somebody meets you and the time they actually pull out their credit card and give you money. As Stella was saying earlier, you have to bond and nurture, and they need to learn, you have the whole buyer journey, the whole framework. But think about the last time you bought something online. Think about that interaction. So you probably clicked on an ad, you hit a web page. On that web page, you had to scroll down a little bit, and then maybe you watched an explainer video. Then you clicked, a button underneath that video to then go to a checkout page. Now, once you're on that checkout page, now, mind you, we're already 6 small successes in. So once you're on that checkout page, now you got to go find your wallet. Then you got to take it out. Then you got to key the card, the card numbers into the order form. And then you actually have to, you hit the enter or submit, and then you go to the confirmation page. Now, that's a whole lot of action for somebody who is just meeting you or just becoming familiar with you. So our job as marketers, and what this webinar or what your sales material is supposed to do, is compress that time in as much as possible. So hopefully we go from just learning about you to successfully buying something in 10 or 15 minutes. That would be ideal, right? But sometimes it takes 6 years, in order to get that first sale from somebody. So it's all about compressing that time. That's really what sales and marketing is all about. So in this idea of small successes, you don't just go from 0 to selling a bunch of stuff. You have to get somebody to click something. You got to get them to sign up for something, or watch something. And then ultimately they buy something. So you have confirmed in their mind that you are worth each of these successful actions. So, and that's really how your sales funnel has to be broken down. Now, by building your tribe, your followers, your email lists, like all that stuff. You have unlimited attempts to sell. And that's like, in all of our clients, we always kind of boil everything back down to the one thing that we want to do, the one priority thing in their business. And that's to grow a list, because it's not actually to get sales. Sales we can get, but growing that email list, growing the follower numbers on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, like getting somebody committed to you and what you do, that gives you unlimited ability to sell in the future. So new course, new product, new project, new thing, new business, all of that stuff you can do when you have followers, when you have a tribe, when you have an email list. So in Stella's example, and in this automated webinar, this webinar kind of framework, we're always getting them to give us their email address in exchange for a webinar, a lead magnet, more marketing. So in all things, you want to make sure that you're building an email list. Now, the second thing I want you to think about is having the right call to action. So your call to action is determined by your offer. So if you're selling digital products or physical products or services or coaching, consulting, courses, whatever, no matter what you're selling, your call to action is determined by that. And we have a very simple model to think about. If it's less than $100, so if your course, and there was 36% of you have a course that is less than $100, is based on this poll. So if it's less than $100, you're primarily going to be driving traffic to a sales video, sales page, sales video, 3 or 4 minutes, talking about the benefits of your product, talking about what problems it's going to solve in the buyer's world and all that stuff. If you are above $100, then webinars are where you need to spend some time, because any purchase, not any, but a lot of purchases that are over $100, they are more complex in nature. So it's not just a course. And if it is a course, then it's got lots and lots of different deliverables or features, benefits, or modules or whatever. So you need to paint a very clear picture in the prospect's mind about what that's going to do in their life. And sometimes you just can't get that in a 2 or 3 minute video. And we are obsessively based around instant gratification. So if we can't watch a video and understand what it is in a minute or two, it's not worth the time. With a webinar, we actually have to plan it. It becomes an event, which means you're setting aside time in your day to actually do that thing or participate or whatever, or at least watch the replay. So if it's above $100 but below 1,000, what we want to do is send them right to the order form. So they're going to go from webinar, order form, done, sale. If it's greater than $1,000, then you go webinar to a sales call. So, and what we use for a sales call is we use something like a Calendly or a type form, like a form tool or something, where they can schedule a time on our calendar to then talk about it later. So we've worked with hundreds of coaches, and this is kind of the metric that we look at, so that way, if it's more complex, then it's going to go right to we know it's going to be a webinar. And then if it's under 1,000 and over 1,000, we go either to an order form or a sales call. So we have folks asking questions. This is awesome. So I think, let's see here. So we got some more slides. So I think we'll probably just save the questions to the end. And then we can talk for as long as we want, yes, from a QA standpoint.
At the end to answer all questions, so it's fine.
Cool.
Please, everyone, post your questions in the Q&A feature, so we have them all gathered together at the end and we can answer them.
Perfect. All right. So now since you know what your CTA is going to be, you can really start putting your webinar together. So here's kind of the framework, that we do. So there's 2 kinds of webinars that you can do. You can do live, like this is a live webinar. So, we're all here, and I'm in bright and sunny Sarasota, Florida, and, Stella's here with us, and we got a bunch of people on the line and asking questions and all that stuff. Live webinars are great, but when you start doing, so it was one time I had how much was it? It's $497, I think. And I did the same webinar 65 times. And here, hold on. Okay. So the same webinar, like 65 times. And it got to just be a terrible experience, just because every night, 9 o'clock, I was doing this webinar. My wife, actually, she started calling herself the webinar widow. So because every night I was doing this live webinar, so, but yeah. So, and then I discovered automated webinars, where you do it once and then you can play it over and over and over and over again, so, live is great. You get better conversions. You have live Q&A. Downside is you have to be there, so you have to carve the time out of your day. And if you're going to do the same presentation to affiliates or whatever, then there is, there's scheduling conflicts and there's just a lack of ambition to do the same content over and over again. Like this is a live, I created this just for you guys. So I like presenting this for the first time to you. Once I get to like time 7 or 8 or 9, then I think there's probably better things that I could be doing. So now an automated webinar, it's great because it can be anytime with or without you. So you don't have to be here. It can just be a video that plays. Some of the favorite ways that we like doing it is so it's just in time. So the webinar will start either every 15 minutes or at the top of the hour. So in the States here, it's 11:33 a.m. So it could start at 11:45 if it's just in time and set up to start every 15 minutes, or it could start at noon, so 12 o'clock. So the nice thing is I'm not there. You know what I mean? Like somebody signs up for the webinar, they wait until it starts and then they go, or they can pick a time to watch yesterday's replay. Downside, conversions are slightly worse, so you don't have the interaction from a participant standpoint that you would. You don't have the chat, you don't have the Q&A, you don't have all the things that you can react to, but you're also not there, so there's value in that. There's value in automating the sales side of your business and you not being beholden to a computer, kind of. And you can automate the Q&A. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll record one live. So we get the energy of being live. Like it's a different energy. If Stella and I were just talking to each other and then you were watching it, it would feel like a podcast, like there's not as much energy. Whereas there's Q&A and I might screw up and, whatever, like just with that, I mean, housekeeping, said, hey, so that's being live, Now, from a webinar standpoint, this is the framework. So this is the webinar registration page that converts the best that we've seen. So usually we get anywhere between 50 and 56% conversion on this page. There's a lead magnet page that is very similar. Did I include that one? I did. So this is the lead magnet page that gets right about those same conversion too. So when you're setting up your webinar registration pages, like 5 out of 10 people who hit this page are going to opt in. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. So try to make it look like this. You can set up a video. This can be an image. I was just recording that. I have a standing desk, so I just recorded a video, where I talk about what's going to be in the webinar, and then, they sign up for it. This version is a version that we like to test against it. So this is same scenario, not a video, just a picture, and then it has the features and benefits of what's going to be in the presentation there. So lead magnet, this page, I've spent probably $150,000 in just traffic, just testing this page, and everything about this page is as optimized as it gets. The orange button, the headline, the subheadline, the bullets, we tested with logo, without logo, with nav bar, without nav bar. We tested that black box that it's across the top. We tested different colors. We tested white with black bold text. Everything about this page just converts better than anything else. So just keep these pages in mind. Watch the replay when you're setting up your webinar and try to get them as close to this as possible. And then really the third thing I kind of want to cover with you is this idea of profit boosters. On a webinar, you have a lot of ability to do cool stuff, so and that includes adding urgency to your offers. So one of the things that we try to do, or 3 things that we try to do actually, is we always want to have some urgency inducing component. There's always going to be some sort of an urgency, especially on a sales presentation. So the first is fast action bonuses. So ideally, they get a special something for taking advantage within the next 15 minutes or 24 hours or 72 hours or 5 days or whatever. So, and a lot of times you don't necessarily need to create more content in your course for this. What you can do is you can maybe pull out a module, like a download or something, a spreadsheet, something that is just kind of buried among your course content. Give it a name, so it might be the tax avoidance strategy, spreadsheet or something or something, like there might be just a couple things that you can pull out, just tease them out. And they're going to get them regardless, but and call them fast action bonuses, so you're going to get access to this and you can take them away too. Sometimes we'll have partners, who will add courses to our stuff. So little lead magnets and little promos that is really, really good content. It might be recordings of past webinars they did, or it might be podcast episodes, that is kind of arranged in a way that adds a bonus module that we can give as something to a course. So there's lots of, just think creatively about it, and and just take it away. So if they don't register within 2 days, then they don't have they might potentially not have access to it. The best bonus that I ever did, this is the same bonus that I did 65 webinars on, was 2 DVDs that I mailed. So it was basically, it was 2 training DVDs, and it was like a last minute thing. And I was like, you know what, if you buy in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to not only send you the blueprint, the printed manual, but then I'm also going to send you two DVDs that is going to walk you through these campaigns. And that absolutely crushed it. So that particular webinar, we got like a 54% conversion on. It was incredible. But then I was burning DVDs and all kinds of crazy stuff for a while. So and I looked up online like for a countdown timer, and I found there's just a web page where you can just set a timer 15 minutes and hit go, and then I dragged it into the screen so that all the attendees could watch it as I was answering Q&A. And as soon as it went dark, then bonuses were no more. And that worked really well. Limited time discounts is another one. So, maybe you're doing there's a lot of folks who are doing new courses. So one of the best ways to do this is founders, you have founders, you get a founder seat or founder special or something like that. Like you give it like kind of a cool name, and then these are the first 100 people that are in, and they're going to get an $800 discount or something. If it's a $997 course, maybe you discount it to $197 for the first 10 people, or the first somebody who buys within the first 2 days, and that becomes your social proof. So now you have a bunch of people taking your course, and even though they didn't pay the full price, you're still able to leverage that from a social standpoint. And then also live starts. So we had a client who was doing, it's round robin, but they were doing a Facebook challenge. So it started as a webinar. We wrote them a webinar, and then we're like, maybe we can cut it up into 5 segments and then do a Facebook challenge. So that's what we did. And they pitched on Friday, and their course was starting on Monday. So somebody had up until Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern to enroll in the course, and he ended up making 35 grand, off of 106 people, 106 prospects. So that worked out really well. And it was all based around the live start, because once the course starts live, it starts being delivered, then there's no more starts, so that has worked really well. Email follow-ups. So after the webinar, you want to make sure so I always send 6 emails. So the webinar goes live, or the webinar, they attend the webinar, as I was talking about, they attend the webinar, and then what happens next? You want to get them back to buy. But to do that, you need to send them email. So I always send them 6 emails. Email 1 and email 2 is a thanks for watching. Here's the link to the replay email. Email 3 that goes out, so email 1 goes out day 1, email 2 goes out day 2 after the webinar. Email 3 goes out 3 days after the webinar. And that one is to reintroduce the offer, and then also link one last time to the replay. So we're going to say, thanks so much for signing up for the webinar, blah, blah, blah. Here's the replay link. And then also on the webinar, I pitched X. Now remember, the fast action bonus is disappearing tomorrow or whatever. And then email 4, 5, and 6 all goes to the offer, not to the webinar. So we assume that they already watched the webinar, and then we just link out to the offer. Email 5 and 6 goes out the last day. So it goes out 7 a.m. and then 7 p.m. So we give them 2 emails on that last day. And that works out really well. And then also, we haven't brought up Facebook ads. Stella talked about traffic a little bit. So we drive a lot of Facebook traffic. The easiest way, the easiest thing to do to maximize your conversions is to set up retargeting offers or retargeting Facebook ads. So anybody who hit your webinar registration page, anybody who signed up for your webinar, anybody who was on the website or visited the sales page or whatever, then retarget them back into the offer. So again, we're going to assume that they watched the replay, and then we want them. So we want it to be omnipresent. We want them seeing us in their email. We want them seeing us on Facebook. We want some of their friends to talk about, the thing they just bought, and so that's all part of what happens after the webinar. So that's a lot, but I think that gives you a lot of good meat, to get started with webinars. And if you there's a 52-page or so book called the Automated Webinar Playbook. Go ahead and download it for free. It is at donewithyou.com/webinar. And that not only is a lot of the stuff that we covered today, it's also the webinar setup and how you should structure the slides and all that other stuff. So that's my gift to you. If there's anything else, that we can help you with, then I'm happy to, go from there.
Amazing information, Jason. It shows that you have a lot of experience in these areas, and we also have a lot of amazing questions here, very interesting questions. We will
Awesome.
need to wrap up before the top of the hour, but I think we do have some time to answer questions here. Jason can see them as well. So I see that Victoria is asking, what about memberships with a monthly fee of less than 100? So this question came in when you were talking about the different pricing levels of courses.
So memberships is such a great question. What I would recommend doing. So memberships are beautiful because they have a monthly component and then they have an annual component. So a lot of times what we do is we package it together from an annual standpoint. So what we'll do, and we built a lot of sales funnels for software companies and all that, doing the same thing. So the webinar sells an annual version of your content. So it kind of assumes that they're going to want to buy the whole next 12 months. So maybe if it's $97, let's say it's $97, the annual version of that might be $597. So it's 6 months, and then they get 6 months for free. And then if they don't take that, then you downsell into the monthly. So what you're doing is you're kind of taking the 4 or 5 or 6 or 10% of people off the table who want to pay you $600 for that content, and then you sell the monthly, which ends up giving you a bunch of money up front that you can then use for more traffic, but it also gives you the stability that is the recurring every month. So that's how I would recommend doing it.
I want to add here that within LearnWorlds, you have the ability not only to sell memberships, but also to host a community for your members, which is amazing, and we will be revamping this community soon. Of course, you can use even Facebook groups, which is a free solution to host your community. But with LearnWorlds, you can handle both your memberships and courses. So if you have sort of a hybrid model where you want to sell courses, memberships, and coaching or other sort of services, you can use LearnWorlds to do that. And this answer Jamie's question, which is the next one: can you have mixed offerings? Of course you can have mixed offerings. I would strongly suggest that you separate those into different levels. So maybe start with a lower pricing tier. Maybe your first offer could be a smaller course of like $200, $97, anything that depends on what you're offering, actually, what the course is about. But maybe stick to the lower end, and then as people get to know you and you build your brand awareness and build some rapport between you and your audience, you are able to sell to upsell more expensive offerings and services.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And then we have a question from Andrea: how to make webinars where attendees don't see each other for privacy reasons. This is quite a technical question.
Hmm.
Uh,
Um,
I
yeah,
assume you
there's
can disable chat in some platforms, so people don't know, cannot chat.
yeah, yeah, there's so you can disable chat, of course. Some of the automated webinar platforms, it's just a video. Technically, it's just a video that plays, so they can't see who else is in it. It's just for all intents and purposes, it's a web page, and the video just starts whenever you hit the page. So that's probably the best way to do it, is just to automate the whole thing. Um, but then you can also turn off a lot of controls inside Zoom or GoToWebinar so that they can't see each other. Like we don't in Zoom here, the co-hosts can see each other and we can see the chat, but we can't see any of the participants. So that's just part of how this works here.
And another question is, given the loads of webinar tools in the market, any thoughts
Mhm.
on specific webinar tools that are recommended? And here, I only want to quickly mention before Jason give us his answer. I want to mention that although LearnWorlds is not a webinar platform, we have a very easy integration with Zoom and WebEx, which are basically the most popular online meeting solutions. And with your own account on Zoom, you can use it within LearnWorlds to create live webinars.
Yep, absolutely. From an automated standpoint, there's, I would say, Demio is one. Demio is a good one. The other one is EverWebinar is another good one. So but still, Zoom, WebEx, those are good ones too.
Also, you can, within LearnWorlds, you can record your Zoom call and embed it inside a course, and then you can use it as an evergreen webinar.